African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, was signed into law by United States President Clinton in May 2000. The objectives of the legislation include the expansion and deepening of trade and investment relationships with sub-Saharan Africa, to encourage economic growth and development, as well as regional integration, and to help facilitate the integration of sub-Saharan Africa into the global economy. AGOA clearly presents an opportunity for African countries to create jobs, develop their communities, and become more globally competitive. Today we present video clips, various views, and remarks on the opportunities provided by AGOA. We start with President Obama at an AGOA forum in Addis Ababa. In his remarks, President Obama believes AGOA has played a key role in supporting Africa's growth. He also states how AGOA has increased economic cooperation and trade between the United States and Africa. In all, President Obama emphasizes the fact that AGOA is not just good business for Africa, but also for the United States of America. President Obama.
AGOA has played a key role in supporting African growth. It's increased economic cooperation and trade between the United States and Africa, encouraged vital government reforms so more businesses succeed, and made it easier for African goods to reach the U.S. So AGOA isn't just good business for Africa, it's good business for America. Now we have an opportunity to unleash the next era of African growth together. We also want to make sure that the benefits of Africa's growth reach all parts of the society. That's why I announced 2 new initiatives on my trip. Trade Africa, to increase trade among African countries, and Power Africa, to double access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. They're part of America's commitment to help remove barriers to trade and spark new investment in Africa. Of course, the real answer to unlocking the next era of African growth is not in Washington. It's here in Africa. The discussions you have here will help chart our way forward. And I want you to know that as you work to make Africa the world's next major economic success story, you'll always have a partner in the United States of America. Thanks so much.
Now we bring up remarks from Honorable Ron Kirk, former U.S. Trade Representative, speaking at the Brookings Institute on AGOA, where he discusses the benefits and challenges of AGOA.
Over the past 12 years, AGOA has made an enormous difference for millions of Africans and truly transformed the way the United States and Africa interact on trade and economic issues. Non-oil trade from Africa to the United States has more than tripled under AGOA, reaching a record $5 billion in 2011. At the same time, U.S. exports to sub-Saharan Africa have more than tripled as well, as Africans have sought more and more U.S. inputs, expertise, and joint venture partnerships. Now, I think these trade figures have translated into good jobs and higher incomes, not only in Africa, but also for American workers as well, demonstrating that increased trade with Africa is having a tangible impact on both sides of the Atlantic. Now, to be absolutely sure, the developmental premise of Africa remains strong. By providing new market opportunities for African exports, especially of non-traditional and value-added products, AGOA has helped African firms become more competitive internationally. Similarly, AGOA has provided incentives and support for African economic reforms, which have helped foster an improved business environment in many countries that have attracted investment and supported increased U.S. exports. And AGOA has not only encouraged African leaders to strengthen trade relations with the United States, but also to develop and implement African-led solutions to the region's economic and political challenges. I think these are just some of the many benefits that we've seen from AGOA thus far. Over the years, we've been honest enough to learn about some of the challenges that many of our African countries have faced as they sought to expand and diversify trade. What we hear time and time again, though, is a fairly common theme that many of our challenges from fully utilizing AGOA are related to infrastructure, transportation, regulatory obstacles, and the business environment. In particular, we've learned how important trade capacity building and assistance can be to help African governments and firms identify and develop market opportunities under AGOA. The United States would commit up to $120 million for the African Competitiveness and Trade Expansion Initiative, which funds regional trade hubs in Ghana, Botswana, and Kenya. We are pleased with the results thus far, as we've seen these trade hubs provide critical assistance to many African businesses that had not previously considered entering the U.S. market before. With the help of the trade hubs, African entrepreneurs now attend trade shows. They're getting orders for everything from seafood from Mauritius to hot sauce from Zambia to footwear from Ethiopia, socks from Ghana, and jams and jellies from Swazi.
Continuing in a TV interview, Rick Heffenburn, Chairman, American Apparel and Footwear Association, reacted to why Africa has not fully benefited from AGOA.
It's truly a win for Africa, but only if they take advantage of it. Unfortunately, it's an underutilized program. It was founded by President Clinton under his administration for 15 years. In 15 years, it went up and it went down. First year was $17 billion, and it hit a peak in 2008 of $80 billion, and just last year, 2014, it was $23 billion. Apparel clearly is the biggest opportunity. It's the one area that's growing, because if you look at AGOA statistically, there's an energy sector and a non-energy sector. Biggest growth has been in the non-energy, and apparel's been the biggest part of that. The benefits under AGOA surpass most benefits in other trade agreements. We will argue forever about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but AGOA, they already have it. They have all the rules of the road in place. The advantage is huge. People need to pay attention to what's in that bill and what the opportunity is. If so, they will be hugely successful.
Gil Strickler, Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Textiles and Apparel, also has some good contributions in the discussion. Here is what she has to say.
What AGOA does is it provides duty-free access for thousands of products into the United States. Textile and apparel into the United States can cost as much as 32% duty, and footwear as much as 35%. So you have an advantage of up to a third over pretty much any place else in the world. That's a pretty big advantage. We know for a fact that apparel importers will change sourcing for a 5% savings. So just imagine what you can do with 32%. Foreign investment return in Africa is higher than any place else in the world. That's huge. So why do people invest? Obviously to make money, to return money to their investors. So here we're telling you that investment in Africa will return better than any other investment in the entire world. We think a 10-year renewal means that Africa should be able to quadruple its exports. Some of the brands and retailers who are here today, they don't just buy for the United States. They buy for Europe. They have EBA. So they're saving 12% duty into the EU. So when you are talking to global brands and retailers, you have an opportunity that almost no other place in the world has. The United States consumes 25% of the world's apparel, and the EU another 25%. Half the world's apparel users are duty-free to you. No other place in the world can say that. It's huge. These are huge opportunities, and the 10 years is a game changer. That's the word I've been using all along. It's really a game changer.